Okay, we went ahead and got a few t-shirts made, a few of the designs that we like the best, basically in red and black, in sizes large and extra large. We will get any size made that you want, but we're not going to keep them on hand. We just can't afford to do that. We basically have large and extra large available right now. If you pre-order them, like I said, it's going to take about, I would guess about 2 weeks, maybe even a little more than 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks to get it to you with whatever size you want. You have to prepay for them, specify which size you want, specify your address where it's going. Again, Red Poppy Ranch, Cedar at yahoo.com. PayPal is paypal.me/Red Poppy Ranch. I'll put as much information as I can down below the video. If you're outside of the US, $30. If you're within the US, $20, and it's free shipping. Flag red, flag black, typewriter red, typewriter black, flower red, flower black, patch red, patch black. So again, you can email Cedar with any questions at Red Poppy Ranch Cedar at yahoo.com. But to be clear, we have large and extra large shirts available right now. Any other size will take from 2 to 3 weeks before it gets to you. This is our first run of t-shirts. We're going to give this a go. We're going to switch up the colors in the future, but let us know your thoughts. All of my siblings have driven many hours from Arizona to come up and spend their fall break together as a family and celebrate our parents and the near 50 years our parents were married before my father passed away. A couple of my siblings I haven't seen in quite some time. Many of our nieces and nephews even longer. There's a total of 7 of us, 2 girls at the end, 5 boys in the middle. I've never done anything like that. Hey, what's going on?
Are we on camera?
Yeah, I figured I'd ask.
You gotta sign a waiver. Sign a waiver.
This is the first time many of them have been to Red Poppy Ranch. This is my little brother Stuart. Naturally, every time we get together, who knows what's going to happen.
Wow. Katie, we're gonna shame you on RPR. I got it. Get it all.
We can't get on it by accident. Can you get
About 72.
This is Stuart's little girl, Charlie, which was also our father's name. We took a couple days away from the ranch to spend with family. And while it was hard to be away, in the back of my head, this is where I knew my family needed to be.
What's the difference? Huge and mean, right? They're way meaner. 4 feet difference? 4 feet. 800 pounds difference?
Stair rail is probably number 1. In order to do the stair rail, to do it right, be permanent, I need to at least texture that wall, which means I need to tape the rest of this front room. Doors, probably. What do you think?
These downstairs doors?
I don't care about downstairs much as I care about upstairs.
Okay. Doors,
How about the pantry door? Finish that pantry door.
blinds.
Blinds. Finish this tin siding on this side, on the west side of the house. So what are the probably the most important things?
These two. These are gonna take a few days. If not a few weeks, maybe.
Doors.
Doors.
Doors are up there too. So we need to decide on
So
the
you-
doors.
Do you have to do on trim before you do doors? Nope.
Doors one first.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, laundry cabinets.
Laundry. We need to start making preparations to finish this front room, but
You want this in the next month, in the next
no,
week,
this
in
is
the
gotta
next.
be done ASAP.
Okay.
Snowplow. Gotta get your freaking snowplow.
Yeah, that's gonna be important. Tires for Cheyenne.
As the temperatures are dropping, Cedar and myself sat down and made a priority list of the things that we can start focusing on inside. I know there's a few things high on her priority list, and I wanted to make sure these were things that I was focusing on. While myself and my siblings sat around and talked about the good old days, over and over and over again, we told stories about being at the family ranch, which was not far from where we were staying this weekend. While we all have many different memories, we all seem to look on this time very fondly. It most certainly influenced all of us, and it was fun to sit around and hear the different perspectives and the different stories from the many times we traveled from Arizona to southeastern Idaho to be at the family ranch. My parents were adamant that we understand the legacy of those that have gone before us and sacrificed so much to give us what we have. My dad would routinely remind us boys of our family name and what that represented. While I can't speak for my brothers, at times it was overwhelming for me and I never thought I would ever measure up. As my parents made efforts to teach us as much of the family history that they could, I began to understand that we all had our own individual stories. Cedar and I and our family will have a much different story than my great-great-grandfather, who paid the debt to get my great-grandmother out of debtor's prison and then ride a boat for months just to get a chance at owning their own land and to practice their own religion without persecution.
You can pick some of these little ones too if you want.
Mom, is this one already?
Callie, what'd you find?
Oh, look at Sammy go.
Where'd you find that one at?
I didn't find it. You did.
Is it squishy? Or is it good? Is that one squishy?
No, it's hard.
I think, look on the other side. I think it might be squishy on the other side.
Nope.
Nope.
You're all going for yours.
Do they love pumpkins?
Oh, it's stuck like in my hand.
You've never seen a real pig in real life, Reed?
Yeah.
Oh, how cute!
Come on, come on.
Look at it!
Right, Mom? Hey, go on, up, up.
This big one right here.
my dad was also adamant that we all stay as close together as we can. While my grandfathers on both sides of my family were the same way, I can remember talking about wanting to move back to southeastern Idaho, and my dad would kindly remind me how important it was to stay close to my brothers and sisters. For 20 years, Cedar and I have discussed the idea of Red Poppy Ranch, although we never quite knew where it would be. But we never gave up on the dream. Within days after my dad's passing, we began to seriously look at land all over the United States. And again, I felt the pull back to where my family name first settled in this great country we live in southeastern Idaho. But I can remember showing pictures of the old ranch house to Cedar even before we were married, hoping that someday we could live like my great-great-grandparents did. Now, thank goodness I won't have to cram my 9 children into a 15 by 15 cabin like my great-great-grandparents did. And thank goodness we won't have to go months without seeing the nearest neighbor because we were so heavily snowed in. But we will create our own stories. And as we're inching closer and closer to our first winter here at Red Poppy Ranch, naturally we're nervous. Well, that's a good round number of pumpkins right there.
Be careful when you put them
What?
in the basket because some of them are soft.
Callie,
What?
why would anybody need that many? Did you leave any pumpkins for the rest of the world?
No.
Yeah?
This is my loot. This
Huh.
is mine. This is mine. That is.
They are
And the kitty.
they're kind of soft because they're frozen.
And we got 40
So what are we gonna do with them?
You can decorate.
We're not sure if we have everything in place to get by, but we know we're here to stay. So it's time for us to start figuring this out. Ironically, on the same day that we left over to Bear Lake to spend a few days with family over there, we had our first real issue with the solar system. I'd forgotten that I plugged the block heater in on Rhett's old Ford truck, and while I was only going to leave it for a short time, I woke up the next morning and the battery bank was at 59%. This was too low. I forgot to mention to Cedar that she needed to wait a little while before putting a heavy load on the solar system and give it a chance to recover, and I left to go get a standby generator that I finally found, and she called me a short time later saying the inverter had shut everything off because the battery bank hit 50%. By the end of the bright and sunny day, the battery bank had recovered, but it reminded me that we still have a few things left to do, like the backup generator and potentially a wind generator as well.